Everybody, welcome back. We're going to do a classic pattern here called the Gray Nymph. This is the recipe from Terry Hellekson. So a Mustad 3906, sizes 6 to 12, thread gray, Grizzly Hackle tail, and Muskrat fur. I'm going to use a 14. I don't know why. I have a tendency to feel like I need to go small for my local rivers. And there's the Grizzly tail. And then Grizzly Hackle, I'm going to do short, a la Skews, you know, in his Nymph concepts, like a really short hackle. There's my Muskrat patch. I'm going to take the fur right off there with the guard hairs. It says specifically with the guard hairs, so you see the guard hairs there. This pattern comes to me from my friend Carl. This is Bailey cake wax that I use on the thread, and highly recommend it. Bill Bailey is someone who recreates vintage materials that are no longer available commercially, so a lot of his stuff is on Feathers MC, but various other sites, and is a friend and does fabulous work, so I recommend purchasing from him. This nymph comes to my attention from a good friend Carl, who is a trout angler friend in a tying group, invited me to a tying group that he runs online, and he on larger rivers does a lot of spay casting and a lot of swinging of wets, and he runs a 3-fly system, and this fly is almost always on point. He weights it usually with lead-free wraps, and to differentiate between the ones in his box that are weighted and not weighted, the weighted ones he usually uses red thread at the head, which is a really great idea. He tends to not really vary this fly and keeps it on the point all the time, because a gray nymph just works fabulously. I recall reading in Lee Wolf's book that he was once invited to a dinner, and he actually got to sit next to Frank Sawyer, and they were talking, and Frank Sawyer said, "Do you know what nymph I use most of all? Dirty little secret." And Lee Wolf said, "Just a plain gray nymph," and he was like, "Okay," and he goes into his pocket and pulls out just a bunch of like really simple gray fur dubbed nymph bodies. And so the simple fact is that gray just mimics and is close enough to so many different nymph and pupa species that it just works. So I'm doing the muskrat fur on there, trying to do a taper so it's a little bit thicker at the thorax, and I'm not going to personally wrap a ton of hackle, again keeping it as a nymph, not a soft hackle, but again you could do this as like a flimsy kind of style thing, a soft hackle as you will, and I'm going to wrap back towards the wading thread. Couple of wraps, not many, and you can see that hackle's real short, and then I'm going to wind through to the head and clip out this excess piece of hackle, and then I'm gonna push all that back onto that thicker thorax there, create a head. Just clean it up before I whip finish. Get to the back so I can do a back to front whip finish. That's a stronger way to do the knot. And then Terry Hellekson in there says to rough it up. This pattern is credited to an angler from Idaho by Terry, the specifics of it, and I'll put some of that information in the description, but I feel like this type of nymph, in all honesty, predates that. It's very simple, very straightforward, and there you have it. All right, enjoy. It's a great one. Take care. Bye.